She leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms, and said it like a verdict. Know your place. That sentence didn't just insult me. It woke something up. I didn't respond right away. I felt my jaw tighten, my fingers curl slightly against the folder in my hands. Years of discipline kept my face neutral. Inside, though, something shifted. Not anger, not fear. Awareness. The kind that arrives quietly and never leaves. I nodded. I even smiled, and she mistook that for submission. My name is Elena, and for 7 years I worked in silence. I was the one people came to when systems broke, when money disappeared, when donors hesitated, when deadlines loomed. I wasn't flashy. I wasn't loud. I wasn't connected. I was competent. Relentlessly so. The company didn't start as a company. It started as an idea, one I helped turn into structure. Back then, we were operating out of borrowed office space with secondhand desks. I wrote the financial framework, built the operational pipeline, drafted contracts, negotiated early partnerships. I did it because I believed in the mission, and because I didn't need recognition to do good work. That belief cost me more than I realized. When she arrived, Marissa, everything changed. She came with a resume polished by privilege and a voice trained to command attention. She spoke in confident absolutes. She wore power like perfume. And people believed her because believing her was easier than asking questions. She didn't build anything. She inherited momentum. Within months, she was promoted to executive director. I was congratulated for being such a strong support system. That phrase followed me like a shadow. Strong, supportive, reliable, invisible. At first, I told myself it didn't matter. Titles didn't change reality. I knew where the real levers were. I knew which signatures mattered. I knew who trusted whom. I told myself patience was power. Then the meetings changed. My ideas started coming back to me with her voice attached. My cautions were dismissed as negativity. My questions were reframed as overstepping. And slowly, subtly, I was being repositioned, not as a partner, but as a subordinate. The day she told me to know my place wasn't sudden. It was inevitable. I had prepared a proposal, months of research, donor data, financial risk assessments. It was solid, conservative, responsible. She barely glanced at it. This isn't aligned with our direction, she said. I asked which part. She smiled. It's ambitious for someone in your role. I waited. Then she said it. Know your place. I apologized. That apology tasted like betrayal to myself. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't rant. I didn't call anyone. I opened my laptop and began documenting. Everything. Emails. Approvals. Deviations. Promises made without backing. Funds shifted without authorization. Because here's what Marissa never understood. I wasn't just support. I was the safeguard. Years earlier, when the organization was fragile, I had insisted on protective structures, dual approvals, legal contingencies, financial oversight layers. My name wasn't public, but it was embedded where it counted. I didn't do it for control. I did it to protect the mission. Now, I realized I needed to protect myself too. Over the following weeks, Marissa became bolder. She spoke over people. She sidelined dissent. She announced expansions that hadn't been funded. She treated compliance like an inconvenience. Power without accountability always gets sloppy. I stayed quiet. I nodded in meetings. I took notes. I smiled when dismissed. And I prepared. The board meeting was scheduled for the end of the quarter. Marissa planned to unveil a massive growth initiative. The numbers didn't add up. The authority wasn't hers. And she assumed no one would challenge her. She assumed wrong. That morning, I sat in my usual seat near the wall. Neutral colors. Calm posture. The folder rested on my lap, heavier than paper should be. Marissa presented with confidence, promising impact, expansion, legacy. Board members nodded. Donors smiled. She was winning. Until I raised my hand. The room paused. Yes, she said, irritation flickering behind her smile. I think before approving this, I said evenly, the board should review the financial authority documents related to this expansion. She laughed. A short, dismissive sound. That's unnecessary. I stood anyway. I disagree. I handed the folder to the board chair. Pages turned. Expression shifted. Silence stretched. Finally, he looked up. According to this, he said slowly, the discretionary control over these funds doesn't sit with the executive director. Marissa stiffened. He continued, it sits with Elena. The room changed. Marissa spoke sharply. That's outdated. It's current, I said calmly, and legally binding. The questions came fast after that. I answered them all. I explained the structure, the safeguards, the violations. I didn't accuse. I didn't dramatize. I let facts do what emotions never could. By the time the meeting ended, the expansion was halted. An investigation was opened. Marissa was asked to step aside pending review. As people left, she blocked my path. You planned this, she hissed. I met her gaze. I planned to protect what I built. She scoffed. You should have stayed in your lane. I leaned in slightly. I was always in it. You just never noticed. And that was the last time she spoke to me from a position of power. The days after the board meeting felt unreal. Not chaotic, quiet. The kind of quiet that follows an earthquake when the ground is still deciding what shape it will take next. Marissa's office was emptied within 48 hours. Her name disappeared from email threads. Meetings were rescheduled without her. The authority she once wielded so casually evaporated the moment it was questioned. That's the thing about borrowed power. It vanishes the second the lender speaks up. People began coming to me cautiously at first. Staff members who had been dismissed. Managers who had been overridden. Partners who had been promised things that never materialized. Each conversation revealed the same pattern. Confidence without competence. Authority without accountability. The board asked me to step in temporarily. I didn't celebrate. I didn't hesitate. I did what I'd always done. I stabilized. We audited. We corrected. We apologized where necessary. Donors appreciated transparency. Staff relaxed under consistency. Systems held because they were designed to. One afternoon, I found an email Marissa had drafted but never sent. It accused me of betrayal, ambition, manipulation. I deleted it without responding. Because she was wrong. I hadn't wanted her position. I had wanted respect. And when that was denied, I chose truth instead. Weeks later, the investigation concluded. Findings were clear. She was formally removed. The board offered me the role permanently. I asked for time, not because I doubted myself, but because I finally understood the weight of visibility. Power wasn't just leverage. It was responsibility, and I wanted to accept it on my terms. When I said yes, I did it quietly. No announcement, no celebration, just work. The culture changed slowly. Voices previously ignored were invited in. Decisions were documented. Authority became transparent. And something unexpected happened. People stopped posturing. They started collaborating. Respect grew where fear had once lived. One evening, as I locked up the office, I caught my reflection in the glass. Same face, same posture, but something was different. I wasn't smaller anymore. I thought back to that moment in Marissa's office, to the way she'd leaned back, confident, dismissive, to the words she'd used so casually. Know your place. I smiled, not with bitterness, but with understanding. My place was never beneath anyone. It was simply waiting for me to claim it. If you've ever been told to stay quiet, to be grateful, to not overreach, remember this. Power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it watches. And sometimes it rises exactly when it's needed. If this story resonated with you, share it, like it, and follow for more stories about reclaiming power, quiet strength, and the moments that change everything.